Well, Sandy, you and Business Leaders for Michigan recently surveyed young people about their outlook for the future, and particularly the future of Michigan. It's got a bit of a disturbing finding. One third of the respondents said if they look out 10 years, they don't see themselves living and working in Michigan. Tell us about that survey.
Well, Business Leaders for Michigan and the Detroit Regional Chamber thought it would be very important to figure out what young people, 18 to 29-year-olds, are actually thinking. I mean, there's a lot of us who are my age and your age who are wondering about that. And we definitely wanted to make sure that the Governor's Grow Michigan Together Population Commission had that data. But you're absolutely right. 64% of Michiganders say they see themselves here, in the next 10 years or more. That's not a bad number, but that means there's, about a third of Michiganders, young Michiganders, who are seriously considering moving someplace else.
Now, the purpose of this survey is to provide some guidance to the policies, the business environment, the opportunities that are necessary to keep those young people interested and engaged in Michigan, to provide the opportunities. What do we need to do?
Well, in my mind, there are three very clear buckets. And the first and foremost is that it's very clear that 18 to 29-year-olds want the same fundamentals that every Michigander wants: safe streets, good schools, working infrastructure, quality government. Those are the basics, those are the fundamentals. That's bucket number one. Bucket number two is something that you and I have talked a lot about, Nolan, is really solid job opportunities. But they just don't want jobs, they want careers. And they just don't want careers in companies. They want careers in companies that are exciting, that are at the leading edge, that have, really modern workplace practices, and that care about their employees. I mean, they just don't want jobs. They want really good careers, and they want a dynamic economy. And the third bucket is that they care about social issues. And I know this is a little controversial, but the data is what the data is. And that is that things like gun control, which is certainly not an issue that, our organization, and I think I can speak for BLM, that's not on our agenda, but it certainly was shown in the survey results. A woman's right to choose, things like LGBTQ plus rights. And the data shows that a vast majority of people, these young people, care about these issues, want to live in a state that kind of protects those rights. Now, it's not monolithic. I think it's very important to remember that these are not monolithic numbers.
Right.
There are people who are on the other sides of these issues.
Sandy, one thing young families, young people are looking for when they choose a place to live are quality schools, as your survey indicates. We have been at this for decades in terms of trying to get education right in Michigan. We've tried a number of different reform initiatives. What's it going to take to finally turn the corner on improving our schools?
Well, I'm one of the original members of the Launch Michigan initiative to take a holistic look at our K through 12 education process. And the one thing that I can say for absolute sure is that we will not achieve what we need to achieve by simply trying to reform our current system. We need a new system. I think, people who understand what's happening in Michigan K through 12 education will tell you that we are getting the results exactly as the process and the system is designed to deliver. So it is not like we can take one piece of it. It's not just about metrics. It's not just about teacher accountability. It's not just about money. It is about a wholesale rethink about how we educate our children, the system that we put them in, how the teachers are compensated, how they're treated, how we hold accountable, kind of at the administrative level, at the building level, and at the classroom level for results. We're not doing that right now, or if we are doing it, we're certainly not doing it well.
Sandy, your partners at Business Leaders for Michigan have mentioned Michigan's lack of stick-to-itiveness as a barrier to progress in a lot of the areas you've talked to. We start initiatives and don't support them with consistent policies, consistent commitment. What do you do about that, and how big of an obstacle is that to our progress?
When you think about policy initiatives or policy legislation that is passed, we have this kind of flip-flop reputation in Michigan. Let's take our economic development policies or approach, for example. Jennifer Granholm had an approach. My friend Rick Snyder became governor. He had his approach. Gretchen Whitmer has a slightly different approach. We are not known for consistency over administrations, when there's a flip in party, and then we change our policies. When you look at successful states like Tennessee, Virginia, Texas, South Carolina, and others, they have a very consistent approach to major policy initiatives, including education and including economic development. We need to emulate that.
Watch One Detroit, Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.